Automobilista 2's latest game-changing update has just dropped, and with it we've got two new really nice cars. The Formula V Gen 2, which has a halo on it, which I'll tell you how to remove in this video as well, and the Ligeia JS P4, along with a whole bunch of polish, tweaks, changes and Reza shenanigans. So in this video I'm going to tell you what we thought of it, how game changing it is, and how the Ligeia and general gameplay in Automobilista 2 compares to the original Assetto Corsa. Remember, you have to subscribe to be able to unsubscribe when I say something that upsets you about your favourite video game. You can click the like button, but I clicked it and I've got no hair now, so there's a definite connection between like button clicking and boldness. And of course, a huge thank you to our channel members and supporters. Really appreciate it. If you want to join the cult of force feedback, there's a link in the description. But 10 out of 10 channel members actually regret it, so think about it wisely. So as always, Reza do a fantastic job of updating Automobilista 2, adding new content to it, and I think that's one of the great things about Automobilista 2. And this update is no different, because with these two new cars, I think pretty much all Automobilista 2 fans will really enjoy this, and I think even wider than your AMS2 fans, very few people wouldn't not enjoy this Formula V, Brazilian Formula V, with its janky halo bolted on top. But this Formula V is really fun to drive. It's a super small car, so when you've got lots of vehicles on the track, there's still plenty of space either side for racecraft and driving. So there's going to be a lot of race action with this vehicle, especially if you're racing it with your friends. This is just with AI here. But also, it's a super duper underpowered vehicle. So it's slow. You could probably walk faster than this car. But the end result is you have something that's just actually fun. It's just fun to drive. It's like racing a clown car. That's not to say that it's easy to drive. In some ways, this car is incredibly easy to drive because it's quite slow. But in other ways, it's also incredibly unforgiving. If you start driving badly and pushing things, this car, I believe, has a metallic pole that jabs you in the arse, which then forces you to crash. So you have to be very careful with this vehicle. The grass is pure death, and it's also very sensitive to initial steering input and wanting to roll into the corners. But if you actually are careful with your driving, a little bit methodical with your driving, it's actually really quite predictable. And in some ways, if you know how to drive, it's a very easy car to drive. But if you're a little bit unsure on how to drive, it can be very tricky. I think with a gamepad, this car might be quite hard to drive because it does really respond well to being subtly precise rather than brutal. This car, you have to tickle it like a feather around the track, which you wouldn't expect, but that's just how it is with this vehicle. I'd also say with this Formula V, you're much better off, or I was much better off, just using the default force feedback. For whatever reason, the default plus force feedback that we'd started to use on Automobilista 2, the force feedback was just giving like pushes on the wheel and things that were really counterproductive to driving. If you have that, you can reduce the FX slider, I think, on the default plus force feedback, and that might remove some of the additional effects that has. But yeah, just the default force feedback to me with this car worked really quite well, and it really made sense. And then of course you also have the thing that Automobilista 2 has like a very forgiving, predictable tyre in terms of you can slide it around quite aggressively. So when you get into slip with this car, it's actually, when it's balance slip, it's actually really quite forgiving. Which again, for a vehicle like this, is actually just quite fun, to be honest. Negatives with the handling. It does obviously still have the Automobilista 2 general physics thing going on, so it can kind of feel like you're driving on balloons. But this car, I think it's much less obvious, and therefore this car ends up being a lot more enjoyable to drive. Another really noticeable thing with this vehicle, and this is something that Reza have always done so well on, is the graphics of the car models. And just like, it just looks superb. Like when you drive behind a car in a race, and you can just see the suspension moving, the way the car's moving around in front of you, the way the light's catching off it, the reflections off the tyres and everything. And it all runs incredibly fast. I mean, I'm on a 5090, but even you can play Automobilista 2 on like a 1080 Ti and it will still look good. Obviously, with this being the Madness engine, which I still think is one of the... Well, it is. It's not even... This is a factor, I would say. It's the best looking to performance graphics engine on the market for driving games and for many games, to be honest. So that's absolutely fantastic. So if you're going to then drive this, especially against AI offline, which I think a lot of people do, and then maybe if you're going to drive this in VR, I think you'll just really, really enjoy this. You'll have a good time with it, and I think ultimately, isn't that the point of sim racing? To just drive and have fun? I do find it quite funny with this car in reality, and how this car would be in reality. Obviously, Reza are copying a real car. It's funny that the Formula V, in general, is supposed to be like an affordable car, right? It's supposed to be an entry into Formula racing, like one of the very first entries into Formula proper racing, right? So you think, oh, it's supposed to be a bit more affordable. But you can see from this, it's like, oh, it's got the digital display, it's got the all the bodywork on it, it's got the really nice roll cage, it's now got the halo. This car will obviously not be an affordable race car, and it's just quite funny just with motorsport how even the lowest rung of motorsport has just very clearly got to a ridiculous level. Though they actually do race this car really quite seriously, and in many ways, you know, a slower car is just another type of vehicle to race. So it's a mistake to think, oh, it's a Formula V, therefore it's crappy racing, or it's amateur, or it's rubbish. I mean, it still will be amateur, but you know, you still get mental intense racing, and some of the best racing, much better racing than you might get in some technically pro series. So, you know, I'm not making that mistake. I'm just saying it's funny that this car generally started off as being like a budget entry point into Formula racing, and now it looks like a bloody space shuttle from the cockpit. Just motorsport doesn't make any sense. And before we move on to the next car, I'd also say this type of vehicle is absolutely superb on the best track in the world, Oulton Park here. You can see we're doing the intermediate layout. There's 3 layouts at Oulton Park. I don't know the names of all of them. There's the Fosters and there's the full circuit. We're doing the medium layout. Oulton Park's a fantastic track for this car. Brands Hatch. Lime Rock Park could be really good. The VIR short course that looks like a mouse if you look at the layout. That would be great with this vehicle. I think that's in Automobilista 2. But there's sort of more small, nippy tracks, 1950s race tracks. Absolutely superb in this vehicle. Your Formula 1 type tracks, Spas, Silverstones. Still fun in this vehicle, but it turns into a different type of like super speedway draft type racing, which is fantastic fun. Maybe take this car out on an oval, that'd be hilarious as well. But I think these vehicles really are at home on Oulton Parks and Brands Hatches, and obviously the Brazilian equivalents of those tracks, but I'm an idiot and don't know the names of those, so keep that in mind. Oh, if you want to remove the halo, let me just show you quickly, or make it transparent, go to options and then click on gameplay, and then scroll down through gameplay, and you'll see there's a setting called hide halo stem, and it makes it somewhat transparent. You can only do this from the main menu, not whilst you're driving the car, but that lets you then actually see where you're going, in this case into a wall. So the other car, the Ligia or the Liger or the Ligia, I don't know, someone said in our chat when we were driving this, it's like GIF and GIF all over again but with a car. This vehicle looks like a spaceship, sounds like a spaceship, and drives like a bar of soap. Only though if you start to overdrive it, like a lot of the cars in Automobilista 2. It's just the nature of the physics in this title. If you are sort of underdriving and being super duper careful, then it actually has quite a nice envelope to it that isn't too crazy to what you'd expect a car to handle like. Like, it really does look quite close to many onboard videos you might watch. However, when you actually start to really sort of push this vehicle, drive more aggressively, or really try to drive it quickly, the whole sort of Project Cars 2, AMS2 handling dynamics become very clear. So for me, I found this car a little bit annoying to drive. On the brakes, it doesn't turn in nicely. Like the trail braking in this car feels like oddly abrupt, and it's that whole AMS2 weird physics thing going on. The throttle pedal is like mega hook up, as if you've got like a lock diff. Even when you open the diff, it's like a lock diff power or something, combined with infinitely open diff coast. It's just a bit all over the place, the handling. The downforce in this vehicle as well doesn't seem to match the grip levels that you get in other scenarios through the circuit. I think, if you're a fan of Automobilista 2, maybe you don't mind these things, maybe you don't notice them, maybe you don't care. That's fine. But for me, as someone that plays a lot of driving simulators, the physics are just a bit weird in Automobilista 2. However, I still think you can have a lot of fun driving this vehicle. You can appreciate the car model is really quite nice. The way the car goes over curbing and bumps is really nice. This car does a whole bunch of stuff that a lot of sims don't get right in their handling. So you can always do the sort of swings and roundabout argument with sim racing. I think you can have fun racing this car as well. And crucially, you can have fun racing against the AI if you want to. One of the things that really stands out with Automobilista 2 is that the AI is actually relatively decent, and you can turn them up to higher settings to still provide a relatively decent challenge, even if you're quite fast or moderately okay at a car and track combo yourself. With many simulators, in Assetto Corsa 1 for example, the AI is just absolutely useless unless you're literally just doing cruising. In Automobilista 2, you can put the AI on and actually have an okay time. They will attack you as well. Look at this, we've got my max aggression. They are actually fighting each other and fighting us, and they have pretty decent pace. Though once you do pass them and escape them, they kind of can get a bit stuck, and they then don't come back up to you. But if you put them on a hard enough difficulty setting, so the first and second guy are probably really hard or impossible for you to beat, and you put a full grid on, you'll probably actually have a good sort of race experience with Automobilista 2, which, as I say, is just not the case in Assetto Corsa 1 and even many other simulators. Now, another really big positive to notice with this update, and it might have just been because I think I missed the last update or just haven't paid that much attention to Automobilista 2 in recent months, seemed to me that these new cars actually sounded way better than older stuff in Automobilista 2. Like the engine note and the quality of the audio just seemed a lot more refined. So I think the devs at Reza have really got in touch with the music or how the audio system and how they do samples and stuff with Automobilista 2. So that's just really nice. When you're driving, especially again for VR players, the audio is something that really does add a lot to immersion. So it's really great with these vehicles that they actually do sound really quite nice and are very easy to listen to. Now, as with every Reza Automobilista 2 game-changing update, you should just go on Steam and see the update post, and then you can see all the bullet points for every single component that they've actually updated. And it always is a lot of stuff. There's just so much stuff in a racing simulator for a developer to constantly be working on. You would think that that they'll get to the end eventually, but sadly for sim developers, there is no end. It's just polish after polish, and then everything's still pretty terrible because sims are too complicated. It's basically a racing simulator life metaphor. But check through those updates if you're really interested in all the ins and outs. Now, an interesting question is, of course, how does this compare to the original Assetto Corsa? Obviously, AC1, with its good vehicles, good mods, and a lot of the cars built into the game, generally has much more realistic and better handling than Automobilista 2. Oh, actually, though, I have to say, the force feedback in Automobilista 2 and the sort of lack of latency is just so refreshing. When you go back from Evo or ACC or some other titles where the force feedback and input is just a bit jank, it's really nice that Automobilista 2 actually has relatively detailed force feedback, and even if it doesn't in the defaults, you can adjust it. And on a DD wheel, there's a lot of detail with AMS2. You can feel a lot going on, and there's no like input delay or physics delay. Sure, there's an issue with the actual handling of physics in Automobilista 2 in terms of a sort of realism perspective. There's some janky stuff going on, but at least it's precise. So that's a really good thing about Automobilista 2. Frame timing, precision, no input delay, and you can feel what's going on with the physics. You might not like the physics, but you can feel exactly what's going on through the force feedback, which is superb. So with AC1, again, no input delay, force feedback's absolutely superb. But generally, AC1 just has much more naturally handling cars. It has its own physics issues. However, what's interesting though is downloading a mod of this Ligia, we'll pick one of them eventually, downloading a mod of this car and then seeing how the mod compares to a sort of paid or official car that's in Automobilista 2. And what is the gameplay experience like? And the results were absolutely hilarious. And not in a way that you'd expect. So let's pop over to Assetto Corsa 1 here with the mod version of this car. So we literally just grabbed the first mod off Race Department, and actually getting the mod, dragging it into Content Manager, super simple, super easy, really fast to find the mod. So I'm not quite sure why people complain about AC modding. That part wasn't hard. And you know, the handling of the car wasn't terrible, though it certainly was not what I would describe as a high quality mod car. But where this really falls apart for Assetto Corsa is, just look at this. Why is there a firework display going on for a start? And look at this. Look at this AI. It's atrocious. It's absolutely terrible. It doesn't matter. I mean, that looks spectacular. I'll be honest, that looks really fun. And in VR, that would be like you just consumed some kind of illegal substances. But, you know, looks amazing, but absolutely useless if you want to just do a race. If you just wanted to jump in and do a race with a car you've downloaded, and even with base content in Assetto Corsa, the AI is often just absolutely terrible. So, I mean, sure, you've got low fuel motorsport, you can do hosted races and stuff, but a lot of people just want to jump in and do a race with whatever car they happen to see or they've watched a race on, right? And, well, AC just doesn't really allow that. The AI is just so bad and it's so erratic. And then with the mod content, it's going to be, it would be hard for someone that doesn't really know about cars and handling or is not that good of a driver to really, they would download this mod and they'd be super confused by how weirdly it handles the brake bar settings, a whole bunch of stuff. So therein lies the beauty of Automobilista 2. It might not drive the best and it might not do other stuff the best, but if you want to do some good offline racing with AI, have a lobby with some friends, fill that lobby up with AI cars, race against those AI cars, drive in VR, and generally have a pretty polished time, Automobilista 2, as I keep saying this every video, that's what it does really, really well. I would actually say now, we're at a point with Automobilista 2 where Reza, I mean, they can keep adding content if they want to. It's normally separate people that build cars for games and the people that do gameplay and stuff. But Reza, I think, are at a point with this simulator, game simulator, where they really need to just have built-in some sort of championship or some sort of gameplay mode. Maybe some like obvious specific hot lap challenges or something. Or I know they do have some of that stuff, but you know what I mean, like an actual structured single-player type game, an actual game in this. And I think that would be fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But, you know, they keep just doing these sort of polish updates and adding cars to it. And I kind of feel like, though it's amazing what they've done, I kind of feel like, what's the point now? I think people just want a game. More of a game rather than just more cars. Because a lot of the stuff in AMS2 is actually really quite good for the type of people that are fans of AMS2. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. Great update by Reza as always. Really appreciate you guys all watching this. Take care. Thanks for watching. Happy tea drinking. Take care and goodbye. I said take care twice. Take care and goodbye. Take care, and goodbye.